the book Over My Shoulder, The Rivalry Peril, that book is trying to push back on an understanding of the Cold War that suggests like, oh, we actually get really delicious public goods out of geopolitical rivalry. In Washington, that's like common sense. And even like a superficial understanding of the historical record would show that that's almost opposite of truth. One of the foils that we're attacking in that book that we're pushing back on, one of the conventional wisdoms, is basically the Mary Dudziak Cold War civil rights argument.
Right.
She's a friend of the left, but that book has had like serious damage to like imperialist movements.
Even some of her own political interventions in recent years, particularly during the first Trump term, she was actually very open about it, that like we should use this Russophobia for good. Putinism is illiberalism. It's everything that we as Americans stand against. And, and that was also, I think, damaging at the end of the day. So it's not like it wasn't just that book. It's that idea that we should accept these types of great power rivalries and try to like squeeze out some kind of left politics from it, which I think has been a trap.
I mean, honestly, this actually was initially a right thing. I mean, not initially, even now, is like a realist. John Mearsheimer, one of major figures, now became famous around this argument was that actually the Cold War kept the American elites serious and into the national interest and disciplined, right? Which I don't think is necessarily a false thing. I think there is something to that there was a level of seriousness about American elites. But the other point, which I think you're right, is missed, is that the Cold War was not cold anywhere else apart from Western Europe and North America.
14 million dead bodies, man.
You could take exactly. And not to mention, of course, what I think in the US economy, another thing I think this Cold War logic kind of misses is this enormous tilting towards defense infrastructure and
military
spending.
Keynesianism.
Military Keynesianism, because that's what made Keynesianism military in the US and justified that and supported that was the Cold War logic, right? And that is not good for the welfare state. It hasn't been good for the welfare state.
Even the positive argument that Dudziak tries to make, the evidence for it hangs on like a great man reading of history, where it's like to point to the fact that Johnson administration people would point to the Cold War and having a bad reputation because we have an apartheid. The South is basically an apartheid region, and then to justify defending civil rights on that basis, that's focused only on what the ruling class is doing and not why they're doing it. Like, what created that situation? Well, the film that we just fucking watched showed Malcolm X petitioning 33 African countries to support his resolution at the UN that Black rights in America are human rights, and that's the threat. Malcolm X is the great man of history, if anything, if you're going to pin it on a single person, and that reality, that truth of history is completely erased in her narrative, and her narrative is what dominates.
And I just like her kind of argument it's not like an argument that she's just making. Like this comes up time and again. Like every time the U.S.
It's a very
this is the best version of that argument.
It is, and it absolutely is.